Himalayan Massif. In a geological process known as antecedents, it has cut its path at a pace faster than the rise of the mountains, resulting in one of the world's deepest and most stunning gorges lying between the Dhaulagiri and Annapurna peaks. Rivers are tireless dynamos of nature that erode, transport, and deposit rocks, continually retracing the surface of the earth. The Kali Gandaki has dissected the continental crust from time immemorial, exposing layer upon layer of sedimentary rock that once formed the bed of the Great Sea of Tethys, a relatively shallow body of water that covered much of what later became Eurasia more than 190 million years ago. The mass of seashells and marine organisms deposited on the ocean floor laid much of the limestone grid of the Asian and European continents. Tectonic activity during the early Cretaceous created a massive upheaval that squeezed the Sea of Tethys and eventually raised its bed, creating the Himalayas by pushing Cretaceous and Eocene limestone along with Paleozoic shale skyward over 10,000 feet. An abundance of marine fossils are still embedded in the high Himalayas and strewn along the gorge of the Kali Gandaki River. During the formation of the Himalayan Massif, sulfate-reducing bacteria residing in shale created a myriad of fossil layers rich in deep marine belemnites such as cuttlefish, gastropods such as slugs and snails, bottom-feeding brachiopods, and some of the most beautiful ammonites in the world. Ammonites were mollusks that scoured the floors of the Sea of Tethys 100 million years ago. Their dark, polished fossils, typically found in the Kali Gandaki Gorge, are known as shaligrams, shalagram in Bengali, and have been worshipped throughout the Indian subcontinent for thousands of years as the preeminent sign of the god Vishnu. The ancient settlers of the Indian subcontinent were entranced by the presence of creaturely stones that spoke of time outside ordinary human dimensions. The Proto-Hindu scriptures pit human finitude against eternal creation, Kala and Akala. Stories of how the world came to be have always straddled the divide between God and nature, cosmology and ecology. Vishnu, the keeper of all creation, took the form of the fish, Matsya avatar, during the Great Deluge to save the world. Many of his insignia are aquatic: ammonite, conch shell, lotus. The river Ganges in Hindu mythology is the purest emanation of Vishnu in fluid, natural form. This book begins with the simple and puzzling question: how did the Ganges come to assume such a central place in the civilization and culture of the Indian subcontinent? River of Afterlife. The 7th century Chinese traveler Xuanzang visited the confluence of the Ganges and the Yamuna at Prayag, a spot frequented by Hindu pilgrims during the early part of the 7th century CE, when it was surrounded by forests full of wild elephants. Here he saw hundreds of men fasting for days before immersing themselves in the river for a last ritual bath before committing suicide by drowning. Xuanzang describes this in a matter-of-fact way, noting also that Hindus believed that the confluence was enchanted, a spot where monkeys and deer from the nearby hills also came to die in large numbers for salvation. He saw that Brahmins had raised a high column in the middle of the river where they prayed by holding onto the pillar with one arm and foot, while stretching outward with the rest of their bodies, eyes transfixed on the setting sun. Such grueling homage went on for years and even decades. The devout Brahmins of Prayag believed that their exertions would release them from the endless karmic cycle of life and death. It is remarkable how long the Ganges had been a comfort for the dying. An untold number of Hindus have spent the last moments of their mortal lives with a dribble of sacred Ganges water on their lips. In the 15th century, it was common practice for penitent Hindus from all over India to end their lives at Prayag by jumping from a great banyan tree, either into a well or directly into the Ganges, a custom that was finally ended by the Mughal Emperor Akbar. Early Europeans, especially missionaries, were morbidly fascinated by the sight of the sick and aged crowding the banks of the river, half immersed in the water, praying and counting the moments to the final call. Such scenes of the last journey to the Ganges, Ganga Yatra, were common in early British Calcutta. They were painted by artists like Balthazar Solvins in the late 18th century and transmitted